Hello everyone, and welcome back to the series where I take a card out of the Granny Square Stitches card deck and we work it up together. There are 50 squares and we are up to card number 30. And this one is puffs. And I love a good puff stitch. This has lots of color changes, which probably means lots of ends to weave in, so that's not so exciting, but we'll see. Hopefully I can carry them up the side. And the example is this lovely sort of pastel pattern or palette. I don't have all those pastel colors, but I have chosen ones that I think will work. So we are using Anthem yarn from Cascade Yarns. This is a worsted weight 100% acrylic yarn, but it is lovely and soft, not plasticky and scratchy like a lot of other acrylics. So I have got pink pearl, lavender, lime, agate green, and lemon ice for my colors today. So let's look at the back of the card and read all the words. There's not many words today. To work the square shown on the card, make 15 chain and follow chart. Work row 1 in yarn A. Then from here onwards, work in 1 row stripes of yarns A through E until square, and then we're going to add our single crochet edging as we've been doing every week. And to work the stitch pattern in any size, your starting chain needs to be any odd number. Well, that's fun. Okay, so we're going to start with, looks like they're starting with the purple. Oh, fun. Okay, we're going to start with our purple, do our 15 chains, and then we are going to single crochet in the second chain from the hook and every chain back down the row. So that gives us 14 single crochets. Once we do that, we are going to chain 2, and then we're going to do this puff. And this is another good opportunity to remind you that inside your little booklet that comes in the card deck box, on pages 6 and 7 are all the different symbols that you will find on these cards. So this is the one that we are dealing with right here, the puff stitch. Puffs can have a different number of yarn overs. So for this one, it looks like we need to end up with 9 loops on the hook. We will deal with that when I get to it. And then we're ending this puff with a chain 1. And there is the chain 1 there. Okay, so let's get started. This starts with our purple. So I am going to put a slip knot on my hook. And then I am going to chain 15. We have been doing this every week and this is week 30. So you should know by now, I like to turn my chain over so that I'm looking at my back bumps, and I like to work into my back bumps. So I've turned it over. That first little bump right at the base of my hook does not count. So I'm going to go into the second one to make my first single crochet. And like with other squares we've done, I'm going to be using a couple of stitch markers. So that first one is going to go into that first single crochet that I made. And then I'm going to make a single crochet in every chain. So for me, every little bump, all the way down my chain. So I'll meet you at the end. Okay, I'm at my last stitch. I don't need to change color yet because our first puff row is worked in this color. So I'm going to single crochet and then I'm going to chain 2. Now, when we look at our chart, right here, this is where I am. I just single crocheted. We're going to chain 2, and right above it, there is a half double crochet that we are going to work into the top of that chain 2. So I am going to put a stitch marker in the top of my chain 2. So I can easily find where I need to stitch into on my way back. Okay, so now we're going to work a puff stitch. it does not go into this first stitch. That chain 2 is counting as a stitch. So our puff stitch is going to go into the next stitch. How do I know that? We look at our chart. So that's my last single crochet, and my chain 2 is right above it. My first puff stitch is in the next single crochet. So my chain 2, let's just try and get my stitch marker out of the way, is acting like a stitch on top of this single crochet. So I'm going to work my puff stitch into the next one. So to work a puff stitch, it's a whole lot of yarn overs. We eventually need 9 loops on our hook. So we're going to yarn over, and I like to sort of place my finger on that yarn over, and I will do this as I keep going just to keep them kind of from falling off. We're going to yarn over, we're going to insert into that second single crochet, we're going to yarn over and pull up a loop. We are going to do that 3 more times. So yarn over, insert, yarn over, pull up a loop. Every single time you do that, kind of tug on your hook to adjust it. You want them all to be about the same size, and you also want to make sure they are tall enough that when you do your final yarn over and pull through, you can get through them all. You're not struggling. Okay, so yarn over again, insert, yarn over, pull up a loop. One more time, yarn over, insert, yarn over, pull up a loop. So I should have 9 loops on my hook. Let's check. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9. Now we're going to yarn over and we're going to pull through all of those loops. Just like that. And then we're going to chain 1. We're going to skip the next stitch and we're going to repeat in the next stitch. So we're going to yarn over, insert, pull up a loop, yarn over, insert, pull up a loop, yarn over, insert, pull up a loop, yarn over, insert, pull up a loop. Give it a good tug. So when I'm pulling through all these loops, there's a couple things I like to do. So I'm tugging my hook up to elongate those loops as much as possible. I'm going to yarn over. As I pull through, I'm also sort of tugging my yarn to the top of those loops. My hook head is down, and then I can pull through as smoothly as possible. And we're going to chain 1. Okay, let's do one more together. I'm going to skip the next stitch and puff in the next stitch. Let's make sure we are still in focus. Yarn over, insert into the stitch, yarn over and pull up a loop. Yarn over, insert, pull up a loop. Yarn over, insert, pull up a loop. Yarn over, insert, pull up a loop. Give everything a good tug, yarn over, pull through all of those loops, chain 1. Okay, so we've got 3 puffs made. We need to do this all the way to the end. So there's going to be, we're going to do a puff, we're going to skip a stitch, and then in the last stitch, we are going to half double crochet and then change color. Alrighty. So keep going. I will meet you at the end where we half double crochet. I'm doing my last puff. So I talked earlier about puffs having you can have different numbers of yarn overs depending on how thin or thick, like how full you want your puff to be. This one, in my mind, and this is just an Allisonism, is a 4 yarn over puff. So when I'm doing it in my head, I'm counting 1 yarn over, 2 yarn over, 3 yarn over, 4 yarn over. I don't know if that helps or, completely confuses you, but that's what goes through my head when I'm doing this. Okay, one final yarn over. Chain 1, we're going to skip this last stitch, or sorry, the next stitch, and in the last stitch, we're going to do a half double crochet. So just a reminder, for a half double crochet, you yarn over first, insert into your stitch, pull up a loop, and now we're going to be yarning through all 3. So I need to change color now. I'm going to do my little trick of putting my purple over top of my hook as well. I need to find my green. Lay that on my hook. Pull that through all the loops. Whoopsies, lost it there. Come back here. Pull it through all the loops on your hook. And we are going to chain 2. And I am going to put my stitch marker at the top of that chain 2. So that is the end of row number 1. So now we are on to the next row. So I've done the chain 2 already. And we are going to puff in that first chain 1 space. And then puff in each chain 1 space all the way across. At the very end, half double crochet into that last turning chain. And that's basically it. We're kind of repeat that row over and over again, changing color each time. So let's go through this one row together, and then I'm going to leave you to do the rest of it, changing color as you go according to the chart. Looking at the picture on the back, there's almost 2 full repeats of the color. So I have chain 2. Let's turn my work, and right in this first chain 1 space we are going to place a puff. So yarn over, insert into the space, pull up a loop. That's 1, 2, 3, and 4. Yarn over, pull through all those loops and chain 1. And then you're going to come into this chain 1 in between our puffs, and we're going to puff. So 1, 2, 3, 4, and pull through. Chain 1. Okay, so keep doing that. I'll meet you at the end here, and then I'm going to let you go. All right, this is my last puff of this row. I'm going to chain 1, and then I need to half double crochet where my stitch marker is. That's the top of my turning chain. So yarn over. No, I just lost it. Keep your finger where it's supposed to be. And we're gonna pull up a loop, and my next color is pink. So I gotta find my pink end. Lay that on and pull through. Chain 2, replace my stitch marker. Turn my work, and then we can start with a puff right there. For now, I'm going to keep my ends attached. I might be able to start pulling some of them up as I go. But what I am going to do is continue this pattern, changing color with each row. I will come back when we are ready to put the border on. See you then. So this is the square after my final row, and I actually tied off here. But as you can see, my pink is still attached over here, and the border is done in pink. I was initially going to cut this off and sew it in with all my other ends, and then I thought I could probably pull that up. I am lazy and I don't like to sew in ends, so that's why. But this is how it looks. I love a puff stitch. Oh my gosh, you guys, this is such a squishy stitch pattern. If you make this square in cotton and make it a little bit bigger, it would be such a great like hot pad because it is so squishy. Anyways, that's not the point of this video, is it? Okay, so now we are ready to do our border. So I just took the stitch marker out from, this was my turning chain. So I'm putting my hook through the top of that turning chain. And before I do that, I know that we started with 14 stitches along the bottom. So if I have one in my turning chain, one in my puff, so 1, 2, and then in the chain 1. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12, 13, and then 1 in the half double crochet. Okay, so I'm going to insert my hook, and I'm just going to pull up my pink and pull it through that stitch and chain 1, and that can be the start of my row. So then I'm going to go back into that same stitch and single crochet. When I'm doing my border, I only use 1 stitch marker to mark the beginning of the round. So we're going to single crochet in that half double crochet stitch, single crochet in the top of the puff, and then in the chain 1 space. And we're going to do this all the way across. Once I get you set up, I'm going to let you go, because I don't think at week 30 we really need to walk through this single crochet edging. You guys have done this if you've been following me for a whole lot. So last 2 stitches, so 1 in the chain 1 space and then 1 into the chain. And I think I sewed my end in here. So I'm just gonna shove it in. Okay, single crochet, chain 1, and then we're gonna rotate to do our edging. So we're looking for 14, maybe 15 stitches. Because these are technically about the same height as a half double crochet, the math gets weird. It's like 1.5 single crochets per half double crochet row. I know, the math doesn't math. But if you look at 2 half double crochet rows, you want to have 3 stitches over the span of that. So that would be 3, 6, 9, 12, 13, and then add next one, 14. That works out. Okay, so go ahead and do that. So 3 stitches per 2 rows. And then in your corner, you're going to make sure you chain 1 and then single crochet back into that same stitch. Turn. You should have 14 stitches along the bottom. Turn again, do the same thing, 3 stitches per 2 rows, and then go around again. And when I have finished, I will come back and show you. And there she is, all finished. I think this might be my favorite, you guys. I do love a puff stitch. But I also thought it might be kind of fun to take a look at all the other squares. So I'm going to put this yarn away and pull out the squares, and let's take a look at them. How fun and colorful are all of these. What do we think? This is going to make for a super fun blanket when I'm finished. Look at all that color, you guys. Oh, I love it. Okay, thank you for indulging me, but yes, I think this is still my favorite. So that is the puff. That is puffs for week 30. And next week we are going to be doing this one called mountains. I will see you next week for some mountains. Bye.